Hey sixth graders, this is a quick video to go over some of the current events vocabulary words that we'll be using in this unit. So you have a worksheet to complete that's going to have some of these words included. When we talk about current events, we're looking at the important events that are happening in the world. These are the events that are newsworthy and not necessarily the everyday things that are happening in your life. So if you had a cheeseburger for lunch today, it's not going to be a current event just because it happened to you today. It's looking at things that impact other people, whether they're just other people in our community or people in the whole world. And we're going to look at sources. We're going to use multiple sources when we look at our current events. A source is a place where we get our information. And in many cases, our sources are going to be specifically news sources for this project. But for other things, you might have sources that are things like the textbooks in classrooms. Your sources might be a science fiction book that you use for a book report. It might be a video you watch for science. Those things are all types of sources. For this, we're going to look specifically at news sources. We want to look for reliable sources. Reliable means things that we can trust. They are going to be accurate. They're going to be honest. And we are going to compare multiple sources to try to figure out if something is reliable. We're also going to talk a little bit in this unit about media bias. Now, I don't expect you to become total experts this year on media bias, but I think it's important for you to think about what it is and how it affects us. When we talk about media bias, the first part you need to know is the word media. In this case, media is any way of communicating that reaches or influences a lot of people. So if I just call my best friend and we chat on the phone for a while, that's not a type of media just because we're communicating with each other. Media is a way that you publish something and it gets spread to lots of people. So your message can be reached in a variety of people, whether it's all in our community or whether it's through the whole world, as many people as you can reach. Some examples of types of media might be things you see on TV. They might be sources like the newspaper. The radio is a type of media. You can spread your message in magazines. So there's lots of types of media. We're going to use the internet or websites for some of our information. And there are other types of media. It just depends on what it is you're looking for and what kind of message is being spread. And then when we talk about a bias is having a particular feeling or opinion, usually in a way that is considered unfair. So we all have biases. You can't avoid having biases. But when you have a bias, it just means your particular feeling about something. And when it's biased, it's probably in a way that's considered unfair. So, for example, you might favor your hometown because that's where you grew up. Or you might favor a certain style of mac and cheese because that's the kind your family made growing up. Or you might have a bias towards your favorite sports teams or whatever it might be. Here's an example, and I'm going to let you decide how this is a biased statement in the worksheet that you have to go with this. If I said to a bunch of people, social studies is the best subject to learn, just that sentence, explain how that would be a bias. And if you have other questions while you're working on your worksheet or if you're working on something else, just send me an email and I'll get right back to you.